Pisces, hi, great to see you come on in just in time for your Pisces February 2020 reading. Look, a couple of announcements to make just before we get underway. The first is this, is that many people ask me whether I do private readings. I do and I have been for a long time, but I've set some time aside from other activities which I've been pursuing in order to do some more. And so if you want to have a look at the description box, you'll see an email from me, and just email me and you can see whether you want to proceed with one, and I'll get back to you. The other thing is that from next month I'm going to be uploading in the first week of the month for the following month. So the first week of February for the March reading, first week of March for the April reading, and so on. And finally, many people ask me, what is that artwork which is behind me when I do the introductions like this, and do you want to have a quick look at it? Well, that's it, if you are curious at all. Which kind of sums up really what it is that I do. Now, I'm going to go into, there are different spiritual realms, and the first spiritual realm that I'm coming through is for the theme for you for this month, and it is that which is wealth. What that might mean for you we'll get to in just a second. I'm going to also draw 3 playing cards, which, because of the quite mystic nature of the deck which I'm going to use for the tarot section for you, is I'm going to draw three playing cards because they will also, I think, give me something to say for you. The Queen of Diamonds, the 3 of Diamonds. Let's grab something here. And the 7 of Clubs. And now for some tarot cards. Well, pretty clearly you want to make yourself known, and you are, of course, the 5 of Flames. Why don't you all just jump out? Father of Flames, Son of Flames. So there's a lot of willpower coming your way this month. Just excuse me. That's obviously fallen out as well. It is the 8 of Cups. Well, that only leaves us with 1. And where might one take that from? What about there? Okay, the 4 of Flames. Wow, a lot going on for you. Why don't we have a look at all of these cards, and I'll tell you what they mean for you. All right, my beloved Pisces, let me see what there is here for you. Well, look at the message that's coming through for you. Now you see the title, it says wealth. But look at the picture. It's not a big bag of money, is it? I think what this is doing is, it's saying that it's asking you to consider what great wealth has already been bestowed upon you, and how you can build upon who you already are and what you already possess within you and within your character. There is here also the call to look after people, or to be aware of people who are around you, and to understand that love is so important. In fact, that's really the great wealth, isn't it? It's the relationships that we have with other people. If you were on your deathbed, would you be thinking about how much money you had? Or would you be recalling the relationships that you had with people, and which you do have with people? And you've got to have love and relationships, because without them your life just flashes by and you will be on that deathbed. Let this picture sink into your psyche. Remember it before you go to sleep, and let it work on your subconscious overnight, and in the morning you will be different. Now let's have a look. I'm going to look at this card down here, because you have fire everywhere otherwise. I mean, flames, flames, flames. And here is a water card. What does this water card have to say? Well, it's the 8 of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups is really a card, I think, where you feel like you're almost trying to abandon success before things have even started. And these other cards are showing you that things are starting and in fact are even in progress. But I don't think that you see it that way. I think you are a great deal less, and your idea of the world is what you think it is rather than what it is. The astrology of this card is that of Saturn ruling the first decan of Pisces. You know, the 19th of February to around about the 29th of February in a leap year. This year it'd be the 29th. Well, Saturn is about structure and organization and discipline and heavy energy and responsibility, whereas you know Pisces, don't you? You know Pisces is intuitive, Pisces is spiritual, Pisces is emotional. And what happens is, I think that, and with this number 8 here, I have associated with it mystically the planet of Mercury. Now, what happens is, I think that Saturn kind of comes along into the picture, and of course when I'm talking about Saturn as the planet, what I'm talking about is the spiritual energy that's represented by the planet. Saturn comes in and deadens the waters of Pisces completely, and Saturn dominates and suffocates the joy of Pisces, and there is, as I say, the influence of the flightiness of Mercury present, so the overall picture is one of dark Saturn and no growth. Now, the other thing is that Mercury is also in astrology. The YouTube astrologers will tell you that Mercury, which I see with the number 8, is in detriment in Pisces. So we've got a conflict here as well. So, what to do? The message that I'm getting up here is to get to the bottom of things, to walk the narrow path into the deep chasms of the subconscious requires courage and determination. Losing your shape, open yourself to all those dark, formless and obscure feelings that rise to the surface and reveal themselves in order to be seen. Name them, and by seeing them and naming them, you will destroy them. Part you have to do. Part happens without you doing anything. This, I think, is all about accurately and acutely feeling and sensing and experiencing the subtle shifting of boundaries as you see them in your life. To balance action and reaction and the way you think about things requires great sensitivity, and you know how to do that. So banish those thoughts of stagnation, banish those thoughts of, well, I haven't got any get up and go. Let them be gone, because there's plenty to do. Now, let me pull this out a bit. Of the things to do, and which you may well find yourself, I think, involved in, is represented by this card here, which is the Five of Flames. Now, for me, it's Saturn again. This time in the first decan of Leo, the 23rd of July to about the 2nd of August. Now, this is really the Lord of Strife. When I get this feeling which is coming up from this card, I feel there's a sense of competition, there's a sense of aggravation, there's jostling, there's toing and froing. Saturn and Leo. Well, Saturn and Leo ideally really shouldn't sit next to each other. In fact, they shouldn't even be in the same building. Because Leo wants to be creative and express itself, while Saturn is, as we discussed just earlier, cold and dense, and basically comes over like a lead balloon and pushes in over the top of everything and just deadens down all the joy of stuff. But in this case, it's not deadening down anything, because Leo here is a fire sign, and in flames, it's in a fire suit. Now, added to that is this number 5, which for me, mystically, has the planet of Mars, the fiery planet of Mars associated with it. So we have fire in Mars in a suit of fire, and Leo is a fire sign, and then with Saturn coming in, trying to dampen down all of this. So what we really do have is that the astrological energies really are in discord. Now, what I think that you'll find as a result of this is that you may well find yourself in competition with somebody. Now, what I mean by that is that you may find yourself, now there's nothing dire, but you will find yourself, I think, you may find yourself in the middle of conflict or tensions and competition, and it's impacting on your ability to move forward probably with your goals. Now, sometimes conflict can be beneficial, if you're sitting around brainstorming or something like that. But I think this energy which I see here is pointing to competition with people who really have pretty similar qualities and experiences as you. They may actually kind of look attractive as you. Now, in the women in particular, Pisces women are just beautiful. God, that you probably won't remember her, but there was this actress, Elizabeth Taylor, who was in the films. She was married to a guy called Richard Burton. Auburn-haired, blue-eyed, I defy any straight man not to just go weak at the knees when he looks at Elizabeth Taylor. Well, she's Pisces, and Pisces women have that effect on men, on straight men anyway. Well, what is possible is that the beautiful Pisces woman could find herself in competition with another woman who is also very attractive and has her own things to offer. So I think what you need to think here is that, and there can also be arguments and disputes when this card shows up, but nothing that's not going to be resolved. Anyway, I don't really think I need to say anything more about that. You are now well prepared for it. Now you've got there's the 5 of flames, so let's have a look at the 4. Interestingly, you've got so much fire energy in you this month. Incredible. What does this have to say? Well, what this has got to say to me is that I think that you have got some things which you need to get finished off. You need to complete some things. You need to tidy some things up and make sure that they are organized. Now, I know it's a drag to do that, but it is the case that something needs to happen in relation to that, I think. There is a requirement to complete something. Now, I see Venus in the 3rd decan of Aries, the 10th to the 19th of April. Venus in Aries, well, Venus, as you might recall, is actually somebody who is Venus is the ruling planet of 2 signs of Taurus and of Libra. But I have a lot of feeling of balance around this card and of tying things off, like settling scores, doing that type of thing. So I'm going to attribute Venus to the Libra. Now for Venus, and I see Venus in Aries, as I said. So for Venus to get into Aries, she's basically got to move from Libra. She's got to go to the diametrically opposed side of the zodiac into Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars. Now, the first thing is this: the YouTube astrologers will tell you, and they're right to do so, that when Venus goes from Libra into Aries, she's going to be in detriment, and she is. She's detriment and weakened ordinarily. And the other thing that you might say to yourself is, well, with Mars ruling Aries and then Venus coming in to sit down next to Mars, isn't that going to be a problem? And the answer ordinarily is, you're dead right, it is. But at the moment, I don't think that it is. I'm not getting the energy of that. I'm actually getting the energy that Venus is traveling over. She's coming over and sitting down next to Mars, and she is exercising that, well, if you like, that Piscean womanly charm on the aggressive masculine Mars, and so that she actually ends up taming the beast. She subdues him, and so it sits down well. So I think with the energy there, it's actually very good for you. I see this happening, though, as for you. You may find that you have an emotional, that's Venus, desire to move in a new direction, which is Aries. Aries is about pushing into new directions. Alternatively, there could be one side of you wants to move in that direction, whereas another side says, no, don't do that, stay over here. And so you could find yourself torn between things. But you'll sort it out. There's no doubt about that. You'll sort it out. Fascinating, that. Fascinating. Okay. Now we've got the Sun and the Father of Flames to do. Let's have a look at the Sun, shall we? There he is. In a way, he is really kind of the central energy of the tarot section of this reading for you, I think. And he's the Prince of the Chariot of Fire. And I'm actually getting Leo around him, so you may well have a Leo that you're in contact with. Or you could well have a Cancer. Or there could be people with the ascendants in either Cancer or Leo. So there's a very strong Leo influence in this in any event. So although court cards can be both genders, I'll refer to him as a male for the obvious reason. And it could be that you know a man who is swift and strong, impulsive, maybe violent, but just, noble, generous, and with, I think, a really good sense of humour, you know? I think he's got a really good sense of humour. This is the type of guy who stands for, and I think this is what is going to be the case with you, is that you are going to stand for honesty and integrity at this time, and he has a strong sense of morality. And I think, you know, that you may well have a good, strong sense of morality. That is, you're not going to do things which offend your own conscience. Now, I think that this is also representing, and it's good that he's sitting here, because this, and I've told you that why you should snap out of that bit there, because this card here represents a turning point when things have been going, in your mind, badly. And you've got to use his energy and enthusiasm to move on to better things with the same confidence that he has. Look, this guy really engages you he reminds you to re-engage in life and to be ready to tackle any challenges that come your way, such as this Five of Wands, for example. There's some challenges which are coming there. And so he's saying that, don't worry, I've got your back, and you'll be looked after. And this card is also telling you, I think, to have a lust for life, be generous, loyal, and maintain a sense of humour. I'd really have this thought in mind, honestly, with this, and it is, I have a lust for life. And that takes us finally to this card here in the tarot section, which is the, flames everywhere, as I say, the Father of Flames. The Lord of Flame and Lightning is this card. Well, I'm getting a lot of Sagittarius around here, and I'm getting a lot of Scorpio around it. I think that you'll have things to do with Sagittarius or Scorpio, or people whose ascendants are either Sagittarius or Scorpio. He's a man, I think, active, generous, quite impetuous, someone who's very proud. He's probably very vain, I think, but someone who's very swift and unpredictable in his action, and someone who can really move things forward with some, fierceness, for want of a better word, fierceness. I think he can be quite fierce, and so I think that these are qualities which peaceful Pisces may well find in this time. Now, I'm getting the feeling that there may well be unusual qualities contained in the events that are around you during this month. Things that are happening in a way that they're different to how they normally do. But what this is reminding you to do, I think, is to say that, look, don't worry about that. You should stay cool, collected, resolute, and energetic. Be careful of the actions that you take, nothing that hasn't been well thought out, but go forward with an alert confidence in your own ability. That's really what this is talking about. I think also that you need to make sure that you have a keep busy, keep busy is what I'm saying. Find your vitality. Trust your gut instincts, and this is a really good time for you to let your hair down. Give yourself a pep talk and believe that you can do it. Yeah, I think that every challenge which arises helps you grow, and every storm strengthens your roots. Well, let's have a look at these, shall we? See what they have to say for you. The first cab off the rank is the Queen. When I look at her and when I see her placed where she is and placed in this spread, incidentally, when I do a personal reading for you, these cards, they can often mean different things because they depend on where they're placed in spreads and what the energy is, because I'm clairvoyant, and so it depends on what clairvoyant energy is coming in. They're windows which allow information through. But when I look at her like this, what I see here is I see a woman who loves gossip. Somebody, now this is somebody, that could well be you. Actually, could well be you. Very flirtatious, sophisticated, witty, and loves to party, but someone who's got a very strong sense of responsibility to themselves and to other people as well. And if it's not you, it sounds like you, then it's someone that you know. Now, as to the Three of Diamonds, this is a bit of a different picture. This can, I think, I'm getting the feeling of maybe something like loss of direction, changes of mind, maybe being concerned about business issues. I think there's some indecision regarding money matters or success or status. The indecision may lead to confusion or to delays or to quarrels. But I think what has to happen is that you need to keep the communication lines open when this card appears. I've got the feeling also that, now this might not apply to you, but I do know that this can apply and have the potential for legal problems which arise as a result of documentation, or documentation which hasn't been done, or documentation which has been faulty. Now, this card completing the line here is itself interesting, and I'm not necessarily sure that it applies to you. It can refer to a confinement in a way. Arguments, it's probably someone that's close to you that's involved in arguments, or there's opposition to plans going ahead. Now, there could be romantic interference from another person. There's also, this card appears in some spreads when someone is feeling trapped in a relationship. I do think anyway for you that when this appears, I'm getting the feeling coming up that you need to be careful of trouble from the opposite sex. The other thing which I'll say here is that addictions can become an issue when this card arises. And it's possible that you may, and that's probably to do with this card over here that we looked at before. Come up and have a look again. You know how we looked at this, but it's being disposed of? You see, this is on the way out. So this is pushing out, and it would be replaced by another line of things underneath here ordinarily. There can sometimes be a state of confusion or a crossroads that exists. And that can sometimes be the case where you think, oh, I've got this sort of stagnation. But in any event, as you can see from the rest of it, it's a green light for you. Green means go. And with that, that's it for you this month. Well, there you go. It looks like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic month for you, and that's great because you deserve it. And I have to say, you were fantastic during that reading. All that remains for me to say is this, and remember it always, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, bye for now.